right, Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at GMS. Peace, honor, and respect to you brothers that's out there laboring, edifying, rightly dividing the word of truth and sincerity. Shalom to you believers out there, the Aki and Wa'akwath. And I was, watching TV earlier. I was on YouTube, and it's this channel I follow, and the guy, he was going into Pooh Shiesty. And we all pretty much know, what's going on with Pooh Shiesty. And I'm just using this as an example on Pooh Shiesty, because I don't know Pooh Shiesty. I don't know Pooh Shiesty people, but when I was thinking about the whole situation, what he got wrapped up in, which was very, very dumb, all right? I mean, dumb as hell, all right? But I was just thinking, like, in black culture, all right, it's always, how we was raised, and, it was always like, yeah, he a real nigga, he'll do this, he'll do that, right? Like, people always thought about a real nigga is hitting a lick with you or doing some crime. But sometimes being a real nigga, quote, is a nigga telling you the truth, okay? And I ain't gonna lie, where we from, that's considered being a real nigga. We Israelites, but I'm just talking how we talk, where we from. That's how people talk. Like, man, he a real nigga, somebody that will tell you the truth. And to me, Pooh Shiesty ain't had nobody real around him, no matter how many licks they hit together, or if somebody ain't snitch, or because it started with his parents. I heard his mama speaking, and it's like, and you already know he in this situation starting with the parents. Now, he a grown man, it's on him, but when you come from parents that allow certain things or don't give you the right type of guidance, well, it's easier for you to fall into the trap. Because, he like 27, 28, something like that. So, he was doing things young. And if the parents was, his dad being in and out of jail or going to jail and being in the streets, and then his mama sound like she from the streets, well, what he gonna do? You know what I'm saying? But it had me thinking. So I typed in rebuke is better than secret love, right? It says, you hit on a profound truth that goes straight to the heart of human relationships, whether you are looking at it from a relationship, friendship, or leadership perspective. This concept emphasizes that honesty holds far more value than silent affection. The classic phrase, open rebuke is better than secret love, comes from Proverbs 27:5 and highlights several core truths about communication. Constructive correction shows genuine care. Someone who takes the time and courage to tell you when you are wrong, even when it's uncomfortable, is invested in your growth and well-being. And I thought about that because I'm like, ain't nobody tell Pooh Shiesty before he went and did that with Gucci Mane and all the people with Gucci Mane. Didn't nobody sit and tell him like, bro, no. You just came home. You on an ankle monitor, which means you're halfway in, halfway out. You just did some years in the feds. You home. You got millions on the floor. No, bro. This is dumb. Didn't nobody say that? Nobody said that. Not the dude, not the best friend, not the dad, not nobody that went with him thought to tell him like, look, bro, I get it. You want to get out the contract, but this is when you negotiate. This is what you get lawyers for. This is when you take your money you got and get lawyers and find out how you can wiggle around, get out the contract or whatever it is. But this is not the way. Do what you thinking about is not the way, because those guys that's with him, including his father, they couldn't tell me that they didn't know the plan if things went left. You see what I'm saying? They couldn't tell me they didn't know the plan, that he was planning on doing that to Gucci Mane. All right? It says, hidden love is passive. Unexpressed love or silent affection lacks the power to protect you from making mistakes or help you correct your character. Right. So here's this guy. He just got out of the joint. And now he's going back to the joint. He had millions on the floor. Could have had a nice career. Been doing all of these things, right? Now he's going back to jail. He still signed to Gucci Mane because you can't make somebody sign a contract at gunpoint or whatever. That's under duress. That contract is void. So he still signed to Gucci Mane, and now you're about to go do more time. So what happened? Did you really win? No, you lost. You took a big fat elbow. All right? And it's like, I'm just using this as an example. I thought about this scripture. All right? I was like, damn, nobody told this guy, bro, get a lawyer. Nobody told him, like, no, you're stupid. You being stupid. This plan is stupid. Did nobody say, no, I'm not going with you? Did nobody say, look, if you want to go and handle business, I'll go with you. But if you talking about doing this, I'm not going with you. Because your friends don't got to follow you. A real friend is not going to follow you in foolishness. A real friend is going to what? Give you that constructive correction. And by you being a grown man and somebody can't make you, they just going to be like, hey, I ain't got to go deal with that. I'm not going to put myself in that position. See? So, and let's get the scripture. Now, this Proverbs 27 and verse 5. Matter of fact, verse 5, it says, and this is in the NLT, an open rebuke is better than hidden love. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than many kisses from an enemy. Now, I'm not saying those guys are his enemies, but, hey, if somebody would have told him, like, bro, you being dumb, you on an ankle monitor, you just got out the feds, why would you want to do this? Because one thing I know about the system, and I remember my mom always used to say this. She always used to say, look, when them guys go back, what is called a habitual, when they keep going back in front of the judge, especially for the same thing, that's when they get the book thrown at them. So this time, because you already did a crime, the same crime, right? They let you out like, okay, we're going to give you a second chance. You did some time. We're going to release you to do the rest of the time on house arrest. But you went back for the same crime. Well, guess what they're going to do? They're going to bam him. They're going to throw the book at him. He going to have to do some real time. It's not going to be 3 and then you get out and do the rest. No, they're going to throw the book at him because they're going to be like, we let you out and this is what you do. You see what I'm saying? And he's in Florida. That's another thing. I mean, no, he in Texas. It was in Texas. And we already know them crackers down there ain't going to be playing with him. You see what I'm saying? And this just one example. But, I mean, this was very dumb. But this was one example of how, Israelites be getting caught up in that stupid. All right? And stupid shit, man. Ecclesiastes chapter 6, it says, because one thing when you go to the joint, like him, and he's gonna have to do some time, well, all of the fame that's gone, all of the girls that's gonna be gone, some of the family, they gonna leave, some of them so-called friends, they gonna leave. All right. So it says, Verse 8, it says, for some man is a friend for his own occasion and will not abide in the day of thy trouble. Yeah. So, like with Pooh Shiesty, he had the money, he had the fame and all of that. Well, you know, depending on how things go, you never know how one of those guys in the case, you don't know how they might flip. They could flip on them. They could be like, well, we really want Pooh Shiesty. Can you, give us some? But they already got the evidence. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, it's so much evidence that nobody got a rat really on nobody. You know what I'm saying? But you just don't know what the prosecution and what can come about when you're talking about a case like kidnapping, robbing, things of that nature. But even just people who ain't in the case, who was around, they gonna disappear. Because when you in the cell, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to do that by yourself eventually, especially when you gotta do hard time. Everybody fade to black. So it says, and there's a friend, verse 9, and there's a friend who being turned into enmity and strife will discover thy reproach. Again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction. Yep. So when you up, it's up. When you up, everybody your friend. Everybody want a piece of the pie. When you down and out, that everybody get to running. Everybody get to running. It says, verse 11, but in thy prosperity he will be as thyself and will be bold over thy servants. If thou be brought low, he will be against thee and will hide himself from thy face. Yep. So I was on YouTube and I seen a clip of Adrian Broner. He said the same thing. He was like, man, when I was in the dirt, ain't nobody come pull me up. He said that. He was like, man, ain't nobody come pull me up. And it's people who could have did it. All right? Because, see, one thing about it, people have their reasons why they might not pull you up out the dirt. You could just be an asshole. They can see like, man, that it ain't gonna work or whatever. But on the other hand, people could just not really mess with you unless you successful, unless they can use you in some type of way. You see what I'm saying? So that's the game, especially when you got a lot of money. You got the girls around, you got all these, the cars, the houses, the clothes, this, that, and the fourth. Everybody want to be around because everybody want a piece of the pie. But if they notice they not getting a piece, well, they ain't gonna mess with you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do something. I want to read this in the G&T. I'm gonna grab the book. Just bear with me 1 second. I want to grab this in the G&T. I just want to see what it say real quick. What's that? Sirach 6. So it says Sirach 6. I started at verse 8. In the G&T, it says, some people will be your friend only when it's convenient for them, but they won't stand by you in trouble. Others will fall out with you over some argument and then embarrass you by letting everyone know about it. Yup, that's true. That's very true, man. That's very true. You get into it, you make somebody mad, and they fall out with you, and they try to embarrass you. It says in verse 11, others will sit at your table as long as things are going well. They will stick to you like your shadow and give orders to your servants, but they will not stand by you in trouble. If your situation takes a turn for the worse, they will turn against you and you won't be able to find them anywhere. Yup. So best believe Pooh Shiesty done been through that before, doing time in the feds, and he's going to go through it again. And, it's because of stupidity, man, and pride and ego. All right. It's been a lot of people that got ripped off in the music biz, and we don't even know the whole story with that. But you know how many people been ripped off in the music biz? Damn near everybody. Prince. That's why he used to use that symbol, because they owned the name Prince. All right, he had to try to find a way to wiggle. It's been many artists that found ways to wiggle when they're in a bad contract. Sometimes you got to ride that contract out, depending on what the contract was. Maybe, he should have just did a couple of albums, threw them out there, got out that contract and did. I don't know the situation, though. But I'm just saying, it's ways to wiggle. It's ways to go about it other than the way he did. You see what I'm saying? And now you back in the joint, about to do more time, and you still signed to Gucci Mane. And I'm just using this as an example because this is a good example of that. Nobody, going back to the Proverbs 5, I'm going to get that in GNT and see what that say. It might say close to the same thing. But Proverbs 27:5, it says, an open rebuke is better than hidden love, man. And when I looked it up, it says what? Constructive correction shows genuine care. If his friends really cared about him, that's why it's good to not have yes men around you. You got to have people that's going to kick the short and skinny to you. That's going to, as we say, keep it real. Keep it G with you. You got to have people that's going to keep it G with you, man. At all times, you got to have people that's going to keep it real with you. Let you know when you're going off. That's important. Let me see in the GNT. It said, Proverbs 27:5 says, better to correct someone openly than to let him think you don't care for him at all. Okay. Friends mean well, even when they hurt you. But when an enemy put his arm around you, up on your shoulder, watch out. That's true as well. But I kind of like the NLT better, KJV. I just wanted to see what it said. But that's pretty much the point, man. All right. This guy, a damn fool, man. This was, our people, man. But Lord willing, this was edifying to the next lesson. Shalom.